Hello, welcome. It is time for part 2 of my Cinderella series and the last part. If you're new here, my name is Lulu and this is my hobby. I have to be honest with y'all though, I was bored of this concept like the second that I stopped filming, maybe even before that, but I am putting it out nevertheless. If this can be background for somebody's chores, I've won. It will be all worth it. And I did put a lot of work into this, so it needs to go out onto the internet. And I do think that this part will be better than the last one because we're gonna discuss a little pop culture, specifically the it girls that starred in these films. We're gonna go over their timelines of what they were up to in the year preceding the film coming out, the year the film came out, and the year after. Does that make sense? If not, don't even worry about it. I think it will once we get into it. But a couple things before we start. As I said, this is my hobby, so I will not be taking criticism at this time. I will let you know if that changes. First off, I just want to acknowledge my inspirations and my faves. They'll be on the screen right now. Love them all so much. So sweet. I don't know that because I don't know them, but I hope. And on that note, the sweatshirt. I am wearing a sweatshirt in this video that I am going to blur out mostly, but I just wanted to let you know to ignore it because I wasn't aware of allegations that this creator who is now MIA had at the time that I was filming this, and it's a huge bummer, to say the least. So I'm just blurring that out and please ignore it. And finally, these do take a long time to make, but I am still uploading, okay? I do have a job and that has to take priority. I'm sure you understand. But I love making these, and if you like this video, I promise it is all uphill from here, okay? So please subscribe and let's get into the video. So, Miss Selena, we are starting in May of 2007. That's the earliest place I could pull information from. Now, she had obviously been on Barney previously. She had had a small role on Suite Life of Zack and Cody. She even booked a Lizzie McGuire spinoff, but it got canned. So she still really hadn't had her big break. She was still relatively unknown up until now. But in May of 2007, we start seeing her around. She's going to movie premieres, etc. None of her own movies yet. But clearly there's a reason that she's popping up around town here and there and everywhere, and something's in the air. So in July of 2007, Selena books a role on Hannah Montana. Big deal alert, Hannah Montana was everything, then and now. And Selena is playing a rival pop star who hates Hannah, and the feeling's mutual, 110% mutual. They even fight over Jake at some point, I'm pretty sure. Life imitates art, but we will get there. And that role, plus the small cameo that she did on Suite Life of Zack and Cody, is all because Disney had done a nationwide casting where they found Selena, they really liked her, and they're looking for a place to put her. And they think they found it, because towards the end of July, we start getting some promo pieces for Wizards of Waverly Place. And at this point, she said that she had done about 3 pilots for them, including a Suite Life of Zack and Cody spinoff called Arwen, following, you guessed it, Arwen. Why did they ever think that that would be a good idea? I have to question their judgment on that. Arwen, really? He's not the character that you should be following from that show if you're not going to follow the main characters. Like, he is so tangential, it's insane. It's not like The Bachelor, where it's like, oh, you really liked this girl, but she wasn't the main character, but now she'll be the Bachelorette. He wasn't even close to that. He was not even close to that. Where was the Ashley Tisdale spinoff? The London Tipton spinoff? They might have done those. But anyways, Arwen was never going to happen, okay? It was never going to happen. Wizards of Waverly Place was going to happen because it slays. And Wizards of Waverly Place airs in October, and it is a huge hit. All the girls wanted side bangs. All the girls wanted edgy layering pieces that did not go together. All the girls were at Wet Seal on the weekend. I was one of them. I wanted to look like Miss Selena. I thought that look was a good look. It wasn't, and also it looked horrible on me, but I tried. I do want to note though before we move on that a month before Wizards of Waverly Place aired in September, the Teen Vogue party. So obviously we all know Selena's rocking the blue hair for the Teen Vogue party.
Some blue going on. I like a little edge and a little pop in my hair, especially for the Teen Vogue party.
Now in January of 2008, Selena goes on The Ellen Show, and that is how you knew in 2008 that you were famous. You had made it. I know that nobody likes her now. I totally get it. But at the time, At the time, Ellen was having her moment in the spotlight and everybody loved her. Do not try and deny that. And a month later, in February, Selena releases her first song, Cruella de Vil, from the 101 Dalmatians movie. I bet you didn't know that that was her first song, or maybe you did, maybe you're a super fan, in which case, may I reiterate that this timeline is probably not perfectly complete and you may be disappointed with this video. Feel free to click away. Also around this time, rumors start flying that Selena is dating one Nick Jonas, fresh off of his breakup with Miley Cyrus. And we know where this is going. We do. Although if you want to hear the full story that starts in 2006, I would recommend one of these two pieces of content. Amazing work, round of applause. We're in 2008 though, okay? Now, I won't even lie to you, I was a Miley girl at the time. I still am, of course, but at the time, my feelings were strong, if not obsessive. And I had no choice but to side with Miley. Now, am I saying that I made all the right decisions? No, never said that. You won't hear those words out of my mouth, except for just then when I said that I've never said that. But those were the choices that I made. On a separate note, and I know I'm a broken record on this, I'm fully self-aware that I cannot stop bringing this up. Nick Jonas and I share the same big three. So he's kind of a kindred spirit, you know? But nevertheless, I was a Miley girl. And the rumors were that Nick had left Miley and was now onto Selena so quickly because he was a teenager. But still, my 8-year-old heart could not comprehend and could not bear it. And at the same time of all of this turmoil, Selena and her BFF Demi decide they want to be YouTubers. We're one and the same. Wait, that's a Disney song. When I tell you I truly had no idea, One and the Same is actually a song by Demi and Selena. My brain pulled that from the depths of my memories and said, make this reference. And I complied. I don't always comply. It's an interesting place up there. And we don't listen to everything that our brain says because sometimes it's wrong. But on this instance, it was correct. Yay! Now they were just making videos. They were being silly. But in my 8-year-old brain, which we can't trust her, okay? We can't trust her. She was saying, pick me vibes. And that's not to say that I wasn't eating up Wizards of Waverly Place, that I wasn't having a little Camp Rock for dessert, but I was loyal to Miley. I wish that I could tell you that I had had a more feminist take or that I had kind of considered the nuances of life, but that would be lying because I was 8. That part, that it hadn't really fully developed yet, okay? And Miley wasn't feeling those girls support girls vibes either, no. She made a parody video with her friend Mandy, who I wanna say was way too old for this, but I can't remember. Anyways, they made a parody video of one of Selena and Demi's vlogs, straight mockery, okay? It was a bad look. Now Miley did apologize, but would Selena accept? Only time would tell. I mean, she was the one dating Nick Jonas at this point, so I'm guessing she was feeling like the winner regardless. And by the way, looking back at these videos, because I did watch a couple in preparation, because I wanted to. I watched a few because I wanted to. These were just two theater kids in 2008. Nothing more, nothing less. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. They were just being 2008 theater kids, which is exactly what they were. True to form. Now, Wikipedia informs me that the Burning Up music video from the Jonas Brothers premieres on June 20th of 2008. And who plays the love interest? Selena, of course. Otherwise, why would I be mentioning it? And a month later, despite trying to squash relationship rumors, Selena is seen wearing Nick's shirt. And I say squash relationship rumors so loosely because they weren't really trying to. I mean, can you imagine how ecstatic their PR teams were about this pairing? Come on, how could they not be? However, at the end of July 2008, Selena goes on the Regis and Kelly show, and she says that her celebrity crush is Shia LaBeouf. And the thing about Shia LaBeouf is that 4 days prior to that, he did receive a DUI. So I think her team probably wasn't thrilled with that response, but of course, we all know it was an act, okay? Shia was merely playing the part of celebrity crush. It was obviously Nick. Regis and Kelly also brought up that people were calling her the next Miley, but she said she did not come to replace anybody. She's just being herself. She's just being true to her. Good recovery. PR trained and good at it, except for the Shia LaBeouf comment, but good recovery. August 4th of 2008 was the Teen Choice Awards, and I did make an entire video covering this award show and all of the winners and going through their years. It's really fun, and you should watch it later. Maybe just add that to the queue. But all sides of this love triangle were present. We had Miley, we had Selena, we had Nick. And Miley performs 7 Things, which she wrote about Nick. And on top of that, she goes out into the crowd and starts singing it with Selena. To this day, I am not sure what the motivations were. Was she trying to surprise Selena? Was this supposed to be like a slight on Nick? Was it a kind gesture? Was it just forced by Disney and their PR teams? I don't know. I would to be in her head at that time. Wait, can't say. Can't say. Can't say. I would love to have been in her head at that moment. And then at the end of the month, on August 29th, we receive images of Nick and Selena out on a double date with Joe Jonas and Taylor Swift. The world shifted. That was the beginning of a long and beautiful friendship, as well as a number of hit songs that we would receive in the coming years. And I was never a Joe girl. I wasn't. But he has provided me with some music that I cherish. So for that, I am a little thankful. But not that thankful, okay? And finally, on September 16th of 2008, another Cinderella story is released. So let's get into the plot of that. And we start out with an amazing musical number to Tell Me Something I Don't Know. Tell me something I don't know. Yeah. It turns out to just be a dream though, because Miss Selena is a sad Cinderella girl. The only place where she's gonna perform is her dreams. So in this version, her mother was a backup dancer for the pop star Dominique, played by living legend Jane Lynch.
And that's how Sue sees it.
Yes, we're off to a great start, okay? And her mother was hold on. The Jane Lynch of it all really took me out of it. I need to regroup here. Okay, so her mother passes away, and then ever the benevolent pop star, Dominique, takes in Mary, that's Selena's name in this movie, takes in Mary as one of her own. And also because she needs help around the house. And by the way, not to get re-distracted by Jane Lynch and all, but the stepmothers in these movies are the true stars. I swear to God. Jane Lynch, Jennifer Coolidge, Angelica Huston, Idina Menzel's the one in the Camila Cabello one. I don't know who's in the Lucy Hale version, but I'm gonna guess they're gonna rock my socks off. Moving on, her stepsisters are the usual types, except I do want to note that one of them is played by Eunice from She's the Man. And I love that girl with all my heart. On to the main character, Cinderella, aka Selena, is named Mary in this movie, and she is a skateboarding dancer girl. And her BFF, Tammy, is a fashionista, and she drives a big orange hippie van. And who is our Prince Charming? Joey Parker, played by Drew Seeley. And he is headed back to high school to host a dance competition. And I think also to just go back to high school and like go to school. But it's not clear because he never has books. Never. He never looks like he's like needs to be at the school for any reason other than this dance competition. So I don't know. Maybe he is going to high school, but if so, he's not applying himself, okay? But this dance competition, the important part is that the winner gets to tour with him. So big deal. Joey also has a BFF named Dustin. But he calls himself the Funk, and he is immediately smitten with fashionista BFF Tammy when they bump into each other in the hallway by accident. During that run-in, Joey and Mary also have their little meet cute. It's like a, oh no, I spilled my books. Oh no. That's what happens. But it is interrupted immediately by the reality that Joey is kind of dating Natalia, who is the popular girl and also Mary's bully. However, we find out that Joey actually dumped Natalia right before his tour. Of course, she has plans to get him back. And when does she need to get him back by? The black and white ball, of course. And that is going to be a masquerade ball, of course. And Natalia is also a really good dancer. Now, Mary's stepsisters, on the other hand, they dance, but they're not good at it because they're silly, of course. They're comedic relief. But they're all in a dance class together, except Mary, who obviously doesn't want to go into a dance class and be bullied. So instead, she goes on the other side of the dance studio where they have like a secret room and a trick mirror so that she can see them, but they can't see her. And that's how she takes dance lessons. And at the dance class that they go to this day, Joey shows up as the like celebrity dance teacher. And he's teaching them this dance and they're okay. They're okay. But Mary on the other side where nobody can see, she's really good. She's really good. Natalia tries to flirt with Joey during the class. He's not really having any of it. What he is having though is an intense moment with Mary, although he doesn't know that she's on the other side of the glass. But they're like hands together and dancing together. It's a horrible depiction of it, but that's kind of what's happening. And it's like he knows that somebody's on the other side, but of course he doesn't. After school, Mary is playing maid/server for Dominique's, her mother Dominique, living legend Jane Lynch, right? Her mother Dominique's dinner with Joey Parker. She's trying to convince him to do a duet with her to kind of like revive her dying career. He isn't interested at all, but through a series of unfortunate events and a bunch of commotion, Mary ends up falling on the floor and has shrimp in her hair, and Joey ends up falling on top of her. And they're like, we can't keep meeting like this. There's like a lot of tension. Mary really doesn't want to go to the black and white ball, and the good news is she can't because her sisters overheard Tammy talking about their plans to go, and now she has to clean Dominique's room that night. And Dominique's room is beyond filthy, like a true, honest to God depression pit. And I am not judging at all because I have no room to, but she should get help with that, as should I. Again, no room to judge, just some commentary there. Luckily, Tammy sneaks in a cleaning crew to their house that night, so the cleaning crew works on Dominique's room and her and Mary head off to the ball. And of course, when Mary enters, everyone's looking at her. Why this time? Because she is wearing red to a black and white ball. And Tammy made her that dress actually. Tammy's dress for herself is black and white. The one she made for Mary is red. Feels like a little bit of sabotage going on, but we are ignoring that because it all works out for the best. She is noticed. And because it's a masquerade ball, of course we are going with the trope of we're all wearing tiny masks, so nobody knows who each other is. Even though, as usual, it's incredibly obvious. Tammy and the Funk dance, Joey and Mary dance to some tango music that she gives to the DJ on her iPod. Like she hands the DJ her iPod and is like, play track 7. It's kind of an odd move, but she absolutely slays, so who cares? Or she does until the stepsisters pour marbles all over the floor and then she slips and falls and it's so embarrassing for her. Joey is really nice about it when she falls though. He helps her up and then he reveals himself. So of course, duh, she has to go. But she leaves her iPod behind. That's the missing piece in the movie. It's the golden slipper. Golden slipper? You would think after an hour and a half video of this, I would know that it's a glass slipper, but apparently not. Anyways, it's an iPod this time. Back at school, Joey is obviously looking for his mystery girl. He's pulling out all the tricks. And how will he know that it's her? Because she will know the 4 most played tracks on that iPod. I don't know if that's realistic. I mean, I don't remember my Spotify Wrapped, and even if I did, which I obviously do, I don't know what it is now. I could guess what my 4 most listened to songs are, but I don't know if I would know for sure. I'm not like checking up on it constantly. I check 2 or 3 times during the year to make sure that nothing embarrassing is going on, and that's all. And usually something embarrassing is going on, and I am powerless to that, because I have to listen to certain things a million times over. Okay, moving on. Then the stepsisters, as usual, are listening on conversations, and they hear Mary say that she is in fact the mystery girl. Of course they're not on board with that. So first they blackmail her with a tape of her as a child, where she's saying that she's a Joey super fan. And then they find the 4 most listened to tracks in her playlist and go and try and convince Joey that they are the mystery girls. Obviously, does not work, and they embarrass themselves in front of everyone. Classic. After the stepsisters' failed attempts, Mary decides that she is going to reveal herself. But Joey thinks that it's just another attempt by Dominique and co. to get him to do a duet, so he rejects her. But since the stepsisters saw her trying to reveal herself, they're moving forward with their blackmail plan, and they're uploading her fangirl tape to YouTube, okay? That night, they're having a Sweet 16 party for the stepsisters, and Mary is, of course, catering along with Tammy. And Tammy and the Funk are prepared to set them up. They have a scheme going. But unfortunately, right before she's gonna reveal herself, her stepsisters play the tape to their entire party of her being obsessed with Joey and saying his lips are kissable, etc., etc. So she runs off in tears. But then she gets smart. She heads out into their backyard with a boombox and plays the tango music from the dance, which lures him outside, and then he sees that it was, in fact, her. And he feels horrible because he rejected her at first. It was a really bold move, but it paid off, and now she and Joey are dating, and she finds out from the Manhattan Dance Academy that she has an audition. All things are looking up for Mary. All of this is, of course, about to come crashing down because the Manhattan Dance Academy calls the house and Dominique answers. And when Dominique finds out about the audition, she tells them that Mary has broken both of her legs, so she will not be auditioning. And Mary's obviously very depressed about this. And the stepsisters are working on ruining her relationship with Joey, and they do that by baiting her to come to his house late at night, like he invited her over there. He didn't though. And then she sees him with Natalia, who they planted there, and she's trying to get back together with Joey. He's rejecting her, but of course, Mary doesn't know that. Mary just sees them together, and she thinks he is a lying, cheating, no good scoundrel, and she's done with him. So she breaks up with him and also says she's never dancing again since she didn't get the audition. And Joey is shocked until Tammy clues him in. So they make a plan, and Tammy gets married to the dance competition so that everything can be made right. So then we have lots of dancers go up and show their skills, including the stepsisters, who embarrass themselves horribly once again. And the last dancer is none other than Joey Parker's ex, Queen Bee, and bully Natalia. And she is a pretty good dancer, but she's not married. Our friend the Funk also performs, and the man is better than Joey. He is. I'm gonna stand up for what I believe in. He is a better performer than Joey, okay? And finally, Joey comes on stage to sing us his new song, his new single. It's a ballad that he wrote specifically for Mary, and he is singing it directly to her in the crowd. But then he cuts the music because obviously he's missing his true love. So he's calling out Mary, but it seems like she's left or is currently leaving. They have to start a whole chant in order to find her in the crowd, and she was on her way out, but they found her. Hey, Mary, dance with me. Dance with you? No thanks. Well, maybe I'm wrong, but you're the best dance partner I've ever had. Even though I taught her everything she knows. That's funny because you said you forgot why you even started dancing until you met me. And that's true, it is. He did say that. Mary in the right, advantage Mary, bang my gavel, she's correct. And she finally goes up on stage to show him what she's made of. And they have a dance off that's like so flirty and intense. And suddenly Mary is extremely confident, as she should be. She's got her mojo back. And Joey is being like condescending, but like flirty, like I'm not interested in it at all, but she is. She loves it. And then we get the pleasure of viewing this scene that I will never get tired of doing.
Oh yeah? Well, let's see you top this. Give me something with some edge.
That's what she does though, and it's wonderful and it's really fun to do at home. It's going from being mean-spirited to like, now they're really having fun together again. They are so back. And they're going to give us a musical number that we will not soon forget. No, because Mary, she is the new classic. She is the new PYT, Pretty Young Thing. I didn't know that that's what it stood for until like, give or take 22 years old. But after all of this flirtiness and musical numbers on stage, Mary runs away again because she sees rotten Natalia in the crowd. Luckily, Joey catches her in time to explain everything because they were meant to be together, of course. She then gets a full scholarship to the Manhattan Dance Academy, and guess who wins the competition? Also Mary, of course, even though she wasn't a contestant. I don't know, I think the Funk should have won. If we're just letting anybody win who didn't even enter, then I think the Funk should have won. He was better than Joey and Mary, might I say. I'm Team Funk all the way. All the way. I don't know why I have to take a side. Why do I always have to take a side that's not the main characters? Some sort of individuality complex going on there. But anyways, we have to discuss that in a separate video, or not at all, because we're gonna leave Mary and the plot of that movie here and get back to Selena. So the next time we hear from Selena that I wanted to note for everybody was March 31st of 2009. And that is when Selena tweets out, "Was I wrong for refusing to be a seat filler? I was just tired of trying to be someone I clearly wasn't. I'm sorry, writing, ... studio time." The drama in that last bit, writing, studio time. That's how I'm picturing it. But this was clearly about Nick, and him and Miley were back together not long after. And later in the year, in an interview with 17, she mentions a relationship with similar vibes going on. And it's not like she'd had that many relationships at this point, so the links are definitely there. And if that is the same relationship, she let us know that everybody around her hated him. Absolutely hated him. And from what her and Miley have both described in interviews, it seems like they were really struggling with him having extremely high standards that they were being held to. And then in the spring of 2009, Selena is seen with Taylor Lautner. And this is pre-Back to December, by the way. Pre-Back to December. They said that they were just friends, but nobody was buying it. Not one soul was buying it. And later she said that we literally just wanted to hang out, go bowling and stuff, and it went a little too far, I think. People were getting a little bit crazy about us. She definitely alludes to there having been some romantic feelings involved there, though, which, like, we knew that. You were seen getting a piggyback ride from him. A Disney Channel star getting a piggyback ride from Taylor Lautner? You might as well tell us that you're engaged. In 2009, that was serious. That was serious business. I would have been flipping my double-sided pillow over to Edward that night, lest I come in between Selena and her new love interest. It was a big deal. In May of 2009, Selena is Teen Vogue's cover girl. Seems like just minutes ago that I was telling you about her blue hair at the Teen Vogue party. And look how far she's come. This was promo for her new movie. She was talking about how great of friends her and Demi are. The Princess Protection Program is coming. And she said maybe when they asked her if there was a special somebody, but she said a firm no to that person being a Jonas. She's done with the Jonas clan. She's moved on to werewolf Taylor Lautner. But by the end of the month, the gossip blogs were saying that Taylor was single again, him and Selena had broken up, and the reason was that his PR team felt it was better for his image for him to be single. I have no idea if that's true. Again, gossip blogs. But I feel like we see this kind of often. I mean, Chris Evans did not reveal his relationship for a long time. Why do we think that was? In my mind, it's because those ladies out there, whomever they may be, with their double-sided pillows that might have Chris Evans on one side and God knows who on the other, they're flipping back to Chris Evans. Because if I saw that Taylor Lautner was now single again, I'm not flicking anything. I'm flipping back. I'm flipping my double-sided pillow back over to Jacob. And only a couple months later, in August of 2009, the Wizards of Waverly Place movie comes out. This girl is hard at work. Hard at work. Okay, I'm in the middle of editing and I just realized that I completely skipped over talking about Send It On. So I'm going to have to do that right away. In August of 2009, we are gifted with Send It On. This was a masterpiece created by Disney's greenwashing team, and it worked, okay? I was emotional. I felt that now my life mission as a 9-year-old was to ensure Earth's survival. Now, looking at the state of the world today, we can determine whether that campaign aimed at 9-year-olds was truly effective, and I think the answer is no, but it was a work of art. And for this emotional ballad We needed some true star power, and Disney was willing to pull out all the stops. They had all three Jonas Brothers. I know that there are four. This was not Frankie's time to shine. And we also had Demi, Miley, and Selena. What a group, and also what drama. Unfortunately, Selena got the short end of the stick on this one. Miley, Demi, and Nick were really owning the vocals, and there just wasn't much left for the rest of them. But just imagine the tension on set given everything that we've just discussed. I know, it's a lot to unpack. I feel like my mind automatically wanders there when I'm bored. Like I'm going straight to the set of Send It On to really just imagine all the possible scenarios that might have played out. I'm sure that the Disney employees had a freaking field day in the break room afterwards discussing the drama. And as a grand finale, on September 29th of 2009, Selena releases her first album with Selena Gomez in the Scene, Kiss and Tell. Yes. This album, amazing, beautiful, very good. I love it. You may notice that the years we've covered, 2007 to 2009, were pre-Justin Bieber. So I got the distinct honor of not having to talk about that mess. However, I have made a video on it. So if you want to watch that, feel free. But anyways, I feel like this Cinderella movie was the last one, in my opinion, to have like the it girl of the time. Not to like diss Lucy and Camila. All respect to them for what they've done, but it just wasn't the same. I really think it has more to do with the times than the girls though, because at the moment that Another Cinderella Story was released, Selena was definitely an it girl. But I feel like she was one of the last true it girls where they had this like insane peak in popularity and everybody was obsessed with them. And even then, I feel like she was on the cusp because we also had Miley and Demi and others who were also it girls. But in the time of Lucy and Camila, like we had so many more celebrities, so much more visibility on celebrities. We even had influencers. It was just so much less likely that somebody could be that girl in the same way that Drew or Hillary or Selena was. Also keep in mind that Lucy was on Pretty Little Liars, Camila was in Little Mix. Why did I just say Little Mix? That is just absolutely not correct. They both rose to fame in groups, and I feel like if you rise to fame in a group, it's way less likely that you're gonna become the solo it girl. Unless you're Harry Styles. In which case, you're Harry Styles, okay? Need I explain? No. No, I needn't. Now, amidst all of Selena's 2008 drama, Lucy Hale appeared with her on Wizards of Waverly Place for a couple episodes because she was playing Justin's girlfriend. And that led to a real-life relationship with David Henry. They kind of coincided, and I know that we want to say that that's a PR relationship, but first of all, Disney's not doing PR relationships for minor characters. And second, I really think what it was we are actors, we are young, we are playing love interests, therefore, we are going to fall in love with each other in real life. That is just how it happens, okay? I know that there are professionals out there who are capable of not falling in love with their co-stars, but me personally, and I think just young people in general, unable to distinguish whether the feelings that you're acting out are real or whether they're part of your role. But let's fast forward to 2010, which is where we are actually supposed to be. Prior to her big break, Lucy was a little bit better known than Selena was. She had been in some small roles in movies like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, which is obviously an amazing movie that we all love. But all of this, again, was nothing compared to what was to come. And a little fun fact for you about Lucy, she loves Twilight. And I love that about her, of course. And she has auditioned for the movie twice. Once she auditioned for Alice and once she auditioned for Jane. And I cannot see her as Alice. Full stop, she could not be Alice because we needed who we received. However, I could see her being Jane. Not to take anything away from Dakota Fanning, because obviously she deserves everything. But Lucy also would have made a good Jane. June 8th of 2010, a momentous day in history, Pretty Little Liars premieres. Now, have I seen Pretty Little Liars in full? No, I haven't, because it became too spooky for me. I couldn't handle it, okay? My brain is a very sensitive little being. Can't handle that. However, have I watched Mike's Pretty Little Liars recap? Yes. You know the answer is yes, and you know that I have watched it so many times that I know that plot backwards and forwards, despite having only watched the first season. So there are my credentials, even though I don't need them at all because this is a free website. So Lucy played Aria Montgomery, who, if you recall, was the girl who was being groomed by her teacher, okay? She was one of my favorite characters. I think she was one of the most popular in general, but I was a big Aria girl. Big Aria girl. Only a few years later, I would be in a Tumblr hole filled with Lana Del Rey and Lolita gifts. So things are adding up. Something to think about. I did read that novel later, and I did do an essay on it for school. But Pretty Little Liars took over the top spot for teen shows very quickly. And truly, what could compare? At the time, Lucy was focusing on her acting, clearly, acting her heart out as Aria Montgomery, but she really had always wanted to be a singer. And even as a child, she was on a kid version of American Idol. And this will explain our Cinderella theme. Now, in August of 2010, and this is largely irrelevant, but I decide what goes on this. And I chose this. She does an interview with People magazine where she refers to herself as boy crazy and says, "It's like, I don't even know what's wrong with me. I love boys." She's so real. And I love to see that representation as a fellow child who was titled boy crazy. Truly, a study should be done on those who were titled boy crazy. I want to know what the common denominator is. Was it just a need for attention? I think that might be it, but only the scientists can say. So somebody get on that. Now, in the spring of 2011, Lucy has 2 new movies come out, The Scream of the Banshee and Scream 4. And I'm sensing that Lucy maybe likes a little bit of horror. And that's really just adding to the cool girl effect. For me, still obsessed with her to this day. Also in the spring of 2011, Lucy started dating Chris Zylka. He was in a Spider-Man movie. I couldn't tell you which one because I don't care. But what I do know about him is that he was briefly engaged to Paris Hilton. And I do have a 3-part Paris Hilton series up on this channel if you want to get up to speed on that. Why is it cut into 3 parts? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, okay? Couldn't tell you what I was thinking at the time. It's there for your viewing pleasure if you want it. But back to Lucy. In September of 2011, despite all those horror movies, we have a big twist coming because a Cinderella story Once Upon a Song is released. And let's dive into that plot. So we start off with the same kind of dream sequence that we saw in Selena's movie where she's a big star, but in reality, her life sucks, of course. And her name is Katie. Her father has passed away and her stepmother either didn't want to look bad or just couldn't get her into the foster system, so she is now Cinderella. Now her stepmom, Gail, is all of the usual things, okay? She's demanding, she's mean, she's ridiculous, but now with a thick Southern accent. And she's the dean of a performing arts school that Katie goes to, as well as her siblings. And she is also really weirdly obsessed with Indian culture in a strange, kind of offensive way, okay? I'm not really the person who can dictate what is or isn't offensive, given the color of my skin. However, I think if you watched this, you would think, that's weird. And to give you a little taste of what I'm talking about, she has even hired a random Indian man to be her spiritual consultant, even though in reality, he's just a struggling actor from New Jersey. But she doesn't know that, nor does she care. Katie's stepsister is named Bev, even though she's very clearly Grace from Secret Life of the American Teenager, and she is also the usual type that you see in these movies. And Katie also has a little brother named Victor, who is annoying and mischievous. He's the exact same archetype as the little brother from Lizzie McGuire, so just picture him if you want. In our first scene at the performing arts school, stepmother Gail is having a very important meeting with famous music producer and British person Guy Morgan, whose son Luke is starting at the school. And Katie is taking notes in this meeting. Luke is our Prince Charming. He's British, as I said. He was in Pitch Perfect. I don't know who he played in that. He is better known to me as Cormac McLagan from Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So he portrays an annoying person extremely well. As to his acting chops in playing the male lead, I couldn't tell you because truly this movie could make anybody look bad. Anybody. Now his father Guy is insistent that Luke is a businessman in the music industry. Not an artist, he's not creative, he is a businessman. Even though his son seems to feel differently about that. And Guy also insists that Luke produces the annual showcase for the school, which Gail does agree to via bribery. Luke and Katie also have like flirty eyes time during this meeting, and it turns out that Katie is a huge fan of the last record that he produced. He being Luke, the teenager, because he's a Nepo baby. So he's already doing all of the stuff that you would go to school to do. So why does Luke even need to go to school? Great question. Because that last album that he produced, that Katie absolutely loved, his father felt was shit. Horrible, poopy caca, could be in a toilet, absolutely rancid. He hated it, okay? And he thinks that Luke should be making some more lucrative choices in terms of the music he's producing. All that music that you like, that is like horrible and rancid and everyone hates, stop making that and focus on the consumer base that you need to be tapping into and make something that people will like and buy. That is what he's being sent to school for, basically to have better taste or more monetizable taste, to be able to identify money. So then stepsister Bev takes Luke on a tour of the school, and she's obviously super into him because he's rich and hot and talented. Need I say more? He's Prince Charming. And Katie sneaks her audition tape into Guy Morgan's bag. She meant to give it to Luke, but she was too busy flirting with him and making eyes at him, so that didn't happen. It is now in Guy Morgan's bag. Then we meet Katie's BFF, Angela, who's a choreographer, and we find out that there is a big school dance on Saturday. We also meet Luke's new BFF, who he literally just met, this kid named Mickey, and he's a DJ, and he plans to help Luke cope with the fact that everybody in school is obsessed with him. How will he deal with it? It's hard to be hot and rich and talented and all those other things. He's also like kind and stuff. That doesn't matter in high school though, okay? We all know that. At home that night, Bev gives us a little concert. She is convinced that she is a great singer, but that is not correct. And everybody knows it, including her mother, who is constantly insulting her and telling her what a horrible singer she is. Meanwhile, the little brother is filming everybody with his drone and also with surveillance cameras that he has all over the house. He has like a little mini surveillance room in his bedroom. Again, very Lizzie McGuire little brother coded, and we'll get to that later. But he's also stealing Katie's clothing while she's showering, and then stealing her towel after she gets out of the shower, and then pushing her out of the door and locking it, so she is now running around outside naked. She does, however, find a welcome mat to kind of wrap around herself for a little modesty moment before Luke arrives. Yep, Luke has just shown up to her house and she is wearing a welcome mat. But he's actually there to see Bev. They're on a date. She's obsessed with him, as is everyone else. At the same time, his father calls stepmother Gail to say that he listened to Katie's audition tape and loves it. So of course, Gail says that was actually Bev singing. Katie is a big fat liar. So now Katie is being forced into a plan in which she pretends that she actually can't sing. Meanwhile, she secretly records herself so that Bev can lip sync over it at the talent show and get a record deal, basically. And if she doesn't go along with it, then she will lose all of the money that her dad left her. So the stakes are high. Oh, and she's also forbidden from talking to Guy or lover boy Luke, even though that's kind of like a gray area. She talks to Luke a lot still. Back at school the next day, Luke is letting his new BFF show him some of the school talent. Weirdly, it's always taking place in the men's room, even though Luke repeatedly says, please stop bringing bands into the bathroom with me. Some people have a shy bladder, and I don't think Mickey gets that, really. But then they go into a recording room where Luke shows off his music skills to his friend. He sings a song and plays the guitar and whatever. And it just so happens that Katie and her BFF were also in that room and are hiding and hear everything. And by the way, even though Luke is British and the actor who plays him is also British, when he sings, it is with an extremely American accent. And in addition to hearing his song, Katie and Angela also find out that the album that Luke just produced that his dad absolutely hated and Katie loved, he actually wrote every single song on that album as well. So, poor Luke. His father hates him. Well, his father doesn't hate him. He just hates his creative work. After school, Katie writes a song that is a response to the song that she heard Luke singing in the recording room, and her and Angela concoct a plan for her to sing it to him at the dance on Saturday in disguise, of course. The plan is almost foiled by Gail, though, because she finds out and forces Katie to take care of her brother on that night, and at first she goes along with it, but then she realizes that Bev is probably going to be all over Luke So she leaves her little brother with her mother's fake spiritual consultant and goes to the dance. The dance is Bollywood themed due to Gail's obsession with India. And so their disguises are just little facial veils and they're gorgeous. Katie's is as sheer as could possibly be. I mean, she might as well not be wearing it. But no worries, because BFF Angela distracts her stepmother with a dance-off. Meanwhile, Katie takes Luke outside for her performance. And also, just a note, while Katie is wearing a face veil, he's wearing a masquerade mask. He doesn't look on theme, like, even a little bit, in my opinion. Luke absolutely loves her performance, but he still doesn't know who she is. And because her stepmother, like, poops her pants or something during the dance-off, it's unclear. Her stepmother is headed home, so Katie has to go. But here's a twist. Her stepmom catches her, beats her home, and catches her. So now she has to comply with the plan, or else her BFF, the choreographer who wants to go to Juilliard, will be blacklisted from Juilliard via Gail, the stepmother and dean of their high school. So on Monday, Katie and Bev are recording the lip-syncing bit for the talent show, and Luke is hunting through the school to find his mystery girl and finding nothing but embarrassment, until he does find her. But unfortunately, Bev has already started doing her lip-syncing bit in the studio, so Luke thinks that she is the mystery girl and is full steam ahead for Bev. They're writing a song together, she's in the talent show, and they're going on another date. But of course, Katie is really going to be the one writing the song, and is also the one answering questions for Bev while she's on her date with Luke, and as you can imagine, that goes pretty poorly. But he comes to surprise Bev at their house anyways. He flirts with Katie a little bit while he's there and also teaches the little brother to play guitar. And then it's time for songwriting. It's time to get down to business. And Bev sucks at it, obviously. So we are going to need to use the brother's surveillance room for this operation. Katie is in the surveillance room talking into a mic for Bev, and Bev is repeating all of the lyrics she says. And Luke is so into Katie's lyrics. He absolutely loves them. So much so that he kisses Bev until Katie interrupts, because she can't handle this pain. Luke is her man. Now, the spiritual consultant slash just a struggling actor from Jersey, Meatball, that's what he goes by, Meatball. Meatball discovers the little brother's surveillance room, and together they watch an interaction between stepmommy Gail and Katie, in which the stepmother is obviously being evil, and they decide it's time for them to save the day, because they actually really love Katie and they want her to get her dream come true. Katie also has a heart-to-heart with Bev, and it turns out Miss Bev is just deeply insecure, okay? As you would expect a teenage girl to be. But even though she has no talent at all, she still wants a shot at fame, and this is her shot. Shoot 2, the talent showcase. Guy Morgan is there, he's the celebrity of the hour, in addition to being Luke's dad. Stepmommy is there, all boozed up. I mean, like, it is seriously bad. Stepmommy needs to go to rehab. And BFF Angela finds out that the reason that Katie is doing all of this is because she's being blackmailed with Angela's acceptance into Juilliard. And of course, that cannot stand, because Angela, as we know, is a tangential side character. Her goals and dreams, they don't matter, okay? So, hot boy and singing career come first, college education comes second. Not really though, they kind of just have a heart-to-heart about it. They're not planning, they have no plans. They have no plans. And thank goodness Katie is going through with the blackmail, because Bev is up on stage, it's her time to shine, and she is lip-syncing her heart out to Katie's track. But uh-oh, the little brother comes and cuts the audio out and then smashes Katie's phone to smithereens. Kind of overkill, but he did what he had to do. And Bev is absolutely choking up there. So now Katie will have to sing the song live behind the curtain while Bev continues to lip sync. Anybody seen that episode of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody? Yeah, it's very reminiscent of that. But right as Katie starts singing, uh-oh again, Luke sees her. And he is stunned to find out that his sweet, sweet Bev is actually lip syncing and doesn't have any talent at all. Luke takes the camera backstage and shows the entire crowd that Katie's really the one singing. So she just goes out there and takes over. Bev runs off, of course. Her stepmother tries to stop it, but it's too late now. Katie is on a roll. She's singing her audition tape. They have full choreography going. The little brother is even on stage. And of course, her and Luke kiss at the end, even though he was into her stepsister the entire movie, as well as her, but still, that wouldn't be good enough for me. Also, the Jersey boy slash fake spiritual consultant absolutely blasts the stepmom in the chest with these like frayed power cords, and she goes down. Like, it was seriously unclear. She may have passed. I mean, we do find out in the credits that she's still around, but it was bad. Like, she was not getting up. But anyways, they're smooching, and then Luke's dad comes over. Is he mad? No. It turns out that he wants Luke to produce Katie's album for her. Yay! And she is thrilled. And then Luke says, oh yeah, and also I'll be co-writing that. Stealing her spotlight. But who cares about that? Because the movie is over, and in real life, summer of 2012, guess who gets a record deal? Lucy. And she did release an album a couple of years later in 2014. It was a country album. I listened to a little bit. I liked it. It was 2014 vibes, but it was 2014, so I don't know. I'm no music critic. And at the end of August 2012, specifically on my 13th birthday, The Secret of the Wings was released. And this was a Pixie Hollow film in which Lucy plays Periwinkle. And it has a stacked cast. Debbie Ryan, Mae Whitman, Raven-Symoné, Angelica Huston from Drew Barrymore's Cinderella. Everything connects, okay? There is no such thing as a coincidence.
There is no such thing as a coincidence.
And in September, to end out Lucy's year with just a little bit of spiciness, a random fan tweets at Chris Zylka to tell him that his girlfriend is beautiful. Lucy Hale, his girlfriend, beautiful. Not a lie was spoken. But Chris responded with, don't have a girlfriend. She decided she was too good. Followed by a tweet that said, there's a difference between celebrities and movie stars. Celebrities fade away, while movie stars stick around forever. Petty, petty, petty. A few days later, he tweeted, no disrespect to anyone. Right, of course not. Of course not. He followed up that tweet by saying that you should stick to what you say, and if you say you love, then love. All right then. Somebody is extremely bitter over here. Don't want to say any names, but it's Chris Zylka. It also feels extremely dramatic for a year-long relationship. Like, let that girl go free. Not to diminish any of your relationships if you've been together a year. Congratulations! He then issued another apology tweet where he was saying, no, Lucy is like, she's so beautiful and talented, etc., etc., etc. I mean, all true, but it was incredibly long. He was doing some cleanup work there for sure. Meanwhile, she never said a damn thing about it. No response to any of it, which is how you know that you're on top, when they're just having a one-sided Twitter conversation with themselves. It's one of those where it's like, you're just kind of letting them run it out. Like, you're just kind of letting them keep going until they run out of energy. Kind of like a dog. Sorry to Chris Zylka, but I actually don't care because you were doing that to yourself. That is not on me, sir. So Camila Cabello, if you don't know anything about her, let me give you a brief little synopsis of her career pre-2020. She got her start in the X Factor with Fifth Harmony, which I previously called Little Mix in a clip earlier in this video. It is still haunting me weeks later, okay? But it was Fifth Harmony, although she did leave Fifth Harmony a few years later to go solo. And if you want to learn more about that, you should definitely watch Ashley's video. It is amazing. I've watched it more than once, so you might as well watch it at least once. I also highly recommend her Bachelor recap videos. So good. Camila had previously dated Austin Mahomes, and in 2020, where we're going to begin, she was dating Shawn Mendes. These two men are nearly identical. But before we get to Shawn, in February of 2020, we have to start off on a very sour note of a racism scandal. You might assume that this was old tweets, but you would be wrong because the offending posts actually occurred on the one and only Tumblr.com. Very bad, nobody was happy. Normani in particular was very hurt because Camila was her friend and her fellow girl group member. What is she doing making racist posts on Tumblr.com? Minnie would ask, and Minnie still don't know the answer to that question. However, Normani was kind enough to say that everybody deserves a chance for growth, and here's hoping she has. A month later, in March of 2020, I'm sure we are all aware of what went down in the world and the state that we were in. It was rough, and while we were all trying to distract ourselves and alternately having mental breakdowns, we were also receiving daily paparazzi photos of Shawn and Camila out walking together. Some people thought that these were staged, partly because they were walking at like the pace of a turtle, and also because their coffee cups looked suspiciously clean and coffeeless. for two people walking with coffee. Either way, they were getting their steps in, and we were somewhat entertained at first, I think. But then it was like, why do we continue to get this like daily stroll propaganda? When will the photos of these people walking end? It was too much. So in the summer of 2020, when we weren't seeing as much of Shawn and Camila as we were accustomed to, everybody just assumed that they broke up, even though that was not the case. So in the fall of 2020, they come back. They come on the offensive. They start rubbing their true love right in our faces. Interviews, posts, how much they love each other. We couldn't get enough of the love from them, but we could. We had enough, and we were kind of like, it was a little overkill. Not that I'm not so happy for them, but it was a little bit much. But they needed to squash the breakup rumors, to be fair. Fast forward to Valentine's Day of 2021, and Shawn decides to make us all miserable by posting a photo of him smooching Camila's toe. If I was his management, I would be snatching his phone up so fast for that behavior. Grotesque, unacceptable, and also something that nobody wanted. Maybe some of you did. But keep that to yourself. I ask you, was the demographic of people who wanted that photo large enough for him to go ahead and post it? No, certainly not. In July of 2021, Camila performed her new song, Don't Go Yet, on Jimmy Fallon. And her vision for this performance was like corny 80s vibes, which she certainly achieved, but she also had a backup dancer with a particularly atrocious spray tan that supposedly was part of the vision, but many people found offensive. And a month later, maybe to deflect from all of that, we start getting engagement rumors. But it turns out that Camila she has no rules for rings and fingers. She is choosing any ring for any finger she wants, no thoughts, just vibes. So just a silly little rumor, but nothing wrong with a silly little rumor, okay? And then in September of 2021, Camila collabs with Amazon, Camila Cabello x Amazon collab on Cinderella. Before we get into the plot, I just have to say that I was fearful going into this, okay? I had not heard one single good thing about this movie. In fact, I don't know if I knew anybody who had even seen the movie, but it was an Amazon original, so that did nothing to comfort me, okay? But Idina, Menzel, and Minnie Driver are in it. So I thought, surely they could not mess this up that bad. Idina, Menzel, and Minnie Driver are in this. Surely not. But it turns out that the impossible is always possible. And Jeff Bezos made sure of that. I personally am choosing to blame this movie on the studio and not the actors, because those actors that I have seen in other things are actually, they're good actors, okay? But it really doesn't matter, because truly all I know is that it's bad. Okay, this movie is bad. And like, there is an angle, I think, like maybe like one eye closed and the other half shut, where you could think that this is camp, but I don't think that that's their intention. So I can't give them an award for that. What I can say is that it is just so damn corny, start to finish. They do not let up at all. From the opening, mere seconds in, I thought, what the living is happening? What is happening? Worst period piece ever, by the way, okay? The costuming is really bad, way too modern. The budget must have been nothing. Like, this is period piece by Shein, okay? Or like, sponsored by the Amazon sellers who sell cheap knockoffs, okay? Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Now that I'm saying it out loud, that's definitely what's going on. So we begin. We meet the village. They do a weird dance number. We meet Idina Menzel, the stepmother, who I have yet to find fault in. We meet the stepsisters, who do and say practically nothing. And then all of a sudden, Camila is singing, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser. All I know is love will save the day. All I know is love will save the day. That one, okay? There's no plot to speak of yet. None. And then Camila meets her rat friends for breakfast while she's getting the house ready. And they are CGI'd to look like real rats, real honest to God rats, but with human voices coming out. Imagine a rat that you see on your ground, and then James Corden's voice comes out of that rat. But first things first, Camila's serving her stepmother Idina and the stepsisters, who actually do have a little bit more back and forth, a little bit more banter in this one. And they all speak in a really modern way, but again, period piece costumes. It's just not adding up. Then this creepy man comes to the door and he offers them vegetables and is acting like a creep. As I said, creepy man, there's always one in these plots. Here he is. And then Idina reminds Ella, as they're calling her in this movie, that she needs to find a man already, okay? Creep or not, she needs a man. After that, Ella goes down to the basement where she lives, and don't feel bad for her because it is a nice ass apartment down there. She has a whole Project Runway setup going on because in this movie, her thing is she's a fashionista and she makes dresses. And then she goes into another musical number, again, the last one, maybe 2 minutes ago. A musical number all about her ambitions. And who is fit to chime in on this duet? Nobody, except Camila herself. Yes, she does a duet with herself. Idina Menzel was there, and she does a duet with herself. Flash 2, we're meeting the prince, and he's kind of an ass. Nobody likes him. The whole entire kingdom thinks he's a joke. They wrote a pamphlet about him that is called The King's Idiot Son, which he finds kind of funny. The king does not, as you can probably imagine. He's like, hey, by the way, you're the idiot son that they're mentioning. That doesn't faze him at all, because he doesn't care what people think of him. Except he should, because they're right. He's an idiot. His dad is forcing him to get married, as usual, but this time on threat of his younger sister taking the throne from him. And she is super competent and really smart and actually wants the job and also has a rockin' bob. Fantastic. I'm rooting for her. I'm pretty sure we're all supposed to be rooting for her. Nobody is under the impression that this man is fit for the government. Like, nobody. Anyways, the son agrees to host a ball to find his true love, and then we get a just horrible rendition of Queen's Somebody to Love, a famously great song which they decided to butcher instantly. Glee has covered it. Anne Hathaway has covered it in Ella Enchanted, a movie that also features Minnie Driver. Did I mention that Minnie Driver is the queen in this Cinderella movie? Yeah, she is. But my point is that this song has been covered twice extremely well, and we did not need it again. No offense to Nicholas Galatzine, except this is horrible. Back to Ella, they're getting ready to go to the changing of the guard so that they can catch a glimpse of the royal family, and then Ella brings out the new dress that she just made, which she wants to show off to the town and hopefully sell, but her stepmother says, absolutely not, because women can't do business. Duh! When they get to the changing of the guard, Ella decides to climb up onto a statue of the king and sit on top of it so that she can get a better view of the royal family, but that pisses the king off a lot. He finds it extremely disrespectful, and therefore, Mr. Prince is absolutely obsessed with her, loves her to pieces. So his next move is to convince the king to let him invite all of the girls in the town, regardless of their status, and then he goes out cosplaying as a peasant into the town so that he can find her and invite her personally to the ball. Meanwhile, she is also in the town, sneaking around trying to sell her dress. No one takes her seriously though, because she's a poor woman, so why would you take her seriously? But guess who does? Mr. Prince! Of course, only because he's attracted to her, but he does take her seriously. Yay! Anyways, he offers to buy it for triple the price because the brooch on the dress is actually from her deceased mother. And then they start discussing the ball, which Ella says is stupid and antiquated. And I am so confused, and this is where I think that this movie lacks a ton of context. Are they in the 1600s? And she just happens to be hundreds of years ahead of her time in terms of her views? Or are we in the modern day and this is just a little town that looks like they're still in the 1600s? What is going on? What is going on? And guess what? We're never gonna get that context. Never. I don't know if they even thought it through before they made the movie. But the prince does end up convincing her to go and also tries to squash a bunch of the nasty rumors that she's bringing up about him, like that he's inadequate and stupid, and that his sister's way better than him, and that his mom still spanks him. Standard stuff. And then yet another classic song meets the axe in this movie because Idina and the stepsisters start singing Material Girl by Madonna. And I don't know how they got Idina Menzel to sing Material Girl and somehow make it off-putting, but they did it. They put their minds to it and they did it. Then they're getting ready for the ball and Ella comes out with another handmade dress that she's ready to show off to the town. But the stepmother says she won't be doing that because she won't be going to the ball at all. Why? because Ella is now set to marry the perv from earlier, the one who showed up at their door with the vegetables. Yeah, she'll be marrying him, sold off to him. And she is furious, of course. And she starts ranting about her big plans to show off her designs. And so the stepmother just spills her drink on her new dress and grabs her by the ear to like punish her. A lot lighter on cruelty than in some of these other movies. Remember the Drew Barrymore one where they were whipping her? Yeah, okay, it's gotten a lot better. I mean, it's not great, but a lot better. Now, I didn't mention this earlier, but Ella has a butterfly growing in a jar in her basement. I don't know. I thought it was nasty. Butterflies really freak me out. I just wanted to erase it from my memory. But it turns out that that's actually important to the plot, okay? Because now this butterfly gets out of its cocoon, flies out the open window and into the courtyard where Ella is crying, and then turns into the fairy godmother, Billy Porter. He tells her who he is, and then he starts in on a musical number of Shining Star, which you may have also heard in the Lizzie McGuire movie. It is by far the best song of this movie, by far. And then he brings one of her designs to life through magic and also gets her a carriage and footmen via her rat friends, of course. We know the story. And James Corden is one of them. So that part is a jump scare. And the trick here is that there's magic on her that is keeping her from being recognized by anybody but the prince until midnight. So she's on a time crunch. The ball begins and we get another incredibly cringy musical number of What a Mighty Good Man that then becomes a mashup with Seven Nation Army, a sad attempt at impersonating Glee. Horrible. Then Ella arrives at the ball and the first person she meets is Queen Tatiana, who is royalty from somewhere else. I don't know. She's not the prince's mom, but she's a queen. And she loves Ella's dress and she invites her to be her personal stylist and says, if you want the job, you need to meet me at 4 o'clock tomorrow. After that, she starts tuning into the speech that the prince is making, where he's talking about how he's trying to find her at this ball. So she runs on down there to him, but she tells him she's actually just gonna go ahead and go, because obviously Cinderella has to go. But in this case, it is way before midnight. But she's trying to quit while she's ahead. She has a job offer. Unfortunately, she does end up staying because she sees that the princess is wearing the dress that she made that he had bought from her, and she is so excited. So then they do a duet and dance to Perfect by Ed Sheeran, and then they run off to like go around the castle and giggle and flirt and talk about how unfair the monarchy and being king is. Then he asks her to be his wife and the future queen, but she's like, I don't know. I mean, like, I want to be a dressmaker and pursue my dreams, and y'all kind of hate to see a girl boss. So no, actually, no, I'm gonna go and pursue that instead. But then the clock strikes midnight, so she has to go. First though, she needs to make it through the entire ballroom where the king is announcing that she's gonna be the prince's new wife, even though she said no. Queen Tatiana is there and she has to reassure her, like, yes, I am going to come tomorrow and accept the job, I promise. And on top of all of that, it seems like the stepfamily recognized her. The prince does manage to help her make it out of the castle, although she throws a shoe at one of his best friends who's trying to capture her before she's booking it home. And once again, with absolutely no explanation, these shoes are perfectly intact, even though everything else disintegrates. In the morning, the king is berating his son for getting rejected, and he also tells his wife and daughter to shut up. Big misogyny vibes in this version. That's their thing here. Meanwhile, Ella is pretending to be sick, and the stepmother is gossiping to her about everything that happened at the ball and how now the prince is supposedly going to marry a foreign princess. So it seems like she didn't recognize Ella after all. And then she actually apologizes for all of her abuse of Ella over the years and tells her this sad story about how when she tried to pursue her dreams, her husband hated her and she doesn't want that for Ella. But as the stepmother is leaving her room, the other shoe falls out of Ella's bag and the stepmother sees it. So the jig is up. She knows it was her, but she's not mad. She's not mad at all. What she wants is for Ella to go get her ass to the castle, get married to him, and get them some money and some status. But Ella says, no, I want to be a fashionista. So stepmother's like, okay, well then you're going to get married to the local perv today. Back at the castle, the king, of course, apologizes to his son for being so rotten and horrible after his wife tells him off, actually. And then he tells his son, you know, you can do whatever you want, but you should go and get that girl. And so he gets started on that. He's searching for her with absolutely no success. duh. And Queen Tatiana is also searching for Ella. She's waiting in the marketplace where they agreed to meet so that she could accept the job offer, but no employee in sight. While all of them is happening, Ella is in a carriage with the local creep who she has just been sold off to. Luckily, one of her rat friends bites the carriage driver and she runs off, and she's running towards the marketplace trying to find Queen Tatiana while doing a duet with the prince, who is on horseback, and they are like converging and meeting while she's running and he's riding. When the prince and Ella meet, he says that she's inspired him to live the life that he wants to live, and the life that he wants to live is with her. And then they kiss and ride off to Queen Tatiana because she famously waits for nobody, and Ella needs that job. They do end up making it in time, but first they pay a visit to the castle where Ella meets the king and the queen, like a little family meet and greet, and they also tell them that they're leaving together. The prince is going to go with Ella on her journey with Queen Tatiana while she's fashion designing, and he's just gonna kind of like hang out and see the world. The king actually does take this very well, and he ends up putting the sister first in line for the throne. They announce that to the kingdom, and then they have a kingdom-wide dance party and musical number to Let's Get Loud. Let's get loud. It's horrible. So to be clear, we are ending this movie on the note that they barely know each other and will now be traveling the world together away from everything they know. It doesn't seem like a smart plan. I think we all know realistically that it ends with either a breakup or an incredibly cringy family vlogging channel, probably both. Now, the aftermath of this movie, I'm sure you can imagine, not great reviews. And I too am throwing a tomato. I love that analogy. I always have. I liked when we did the tomato thing because it feels instinctual. It feels primal. It feels right. And I am adding my tomato to the pile at their feet, at the feet of this movie. It's bad. Moving on with Camila's personal life though, in November of 2021, her and Shawn break up and they announced this on Instagram. Apparently Shawn initiated it, but Camila agreed that things were just they weren't there anymore. Things weren't going well. So Splitsville. But then in January 2022, we see Camila and Shawn together again. Weird. In April of 2022, she releases her Familia album, which she says is very vulnerable and personal. And in August, she starts dating Austin Kevich, who invented like a dating app or something. I don't know. How many dating apps do we need? 10, 20, 30, 40? None of them seem to work. Why do we keep trying? I think we give up. I think it's time. Ta-da! This is the end of the video. I'm almost certain I did not put a conclusion in. Sorry about that. This is the end of the video. If you liked it, please hit the like button to indicate that for me. Leave me a comment if you have anything to say. Good, bad, ugly, neutral, your thoughts for the day. I prefer not bad and ugly ones, but like I'll take the engagement if that's what you want to give me. And if you enjoy listening to me, please subscribe because I do have more content coming, including a recap of Love Island UK Season 2, my favorite season. And whether or not you choose to do any of that, I really appreciate you staying until the end of the video. That is just like too sweet of you. Love you, love you, love you, love you. Is it too soon to say that? I don't know. I love you so much. And have a great day. Bye. I think I did okay. We can always refilm it if it's shit.